なんだと？まさかワイヤーがないのにそんなにうまくできるのか？こんなのは見たことないんだ。そっか、これが IQUNIX の力なのか。これ以外のゲーミングキーボードであいつにどうやって勝てるのか。おい、ちょっと待って、概要欄になんかあるぞ。よし、リンクだ。さらにコードファンオレンジを使えば 5% の割引を受けます。これ買うぞ。この番組はご覧のスポンサーの提供でお送りします。 Hey guys, today we'll be looking at two keyboards IQUNIX sent me for review, the IQUNIX L80 and the A80. So just to give a quick overview, this is an 80 key keyboard with a compact layout. It has PBT keycaps. It supports both wired and wireless modes. The switches are hot swappable, and it comes in 8 different switch varieties. Also, if you spend a little more, you can also get it in RGB, but I don't really recommend it. The keyboard already comes in some pretty aesthetic colorways, and adding RGB doesn't really add much in my opinion. It's also really sturdy. There's no flex to this whatsoever. I'm pretty sure I could bash Binfi over the head with this and the keyboard would still be fine. So let's look at the available switches. For Cherry we have brown, red, blue, pink, and silver, and for Gatoron we have brown, red, and blue. So pretty standard selection aside from maybe Cherry Pink and Cherry Silver. I've never heard of Cherry Pink before, so I decided to get it for my L80. Foolish me didn't realize this until after I ordered, but Cherry Pink is just another name for Cherry Silent Reds. So once I got my hands on the keyboard, the switches actually turned out to be a lot heavier than I expected. I pulled out one of the switches and did a little test here. And as you can see, the pink switch is significantly heavier than the Gatoron red switch. And to me, this is kind of a deal breaker. I usually like my switches on the lighter side, otherwise my pinkies just start to really hurt. So yeah, luckily the switches are hot swappable, so it's not too hard to remove the pink switches and replace them with my favorite switches of all time, Gatoron Ink Reds. Nope, that's not it. No, that's not it either. Maybe it's in here? Oh, wrong box. Maybe it's over here. Here we go. But this time I'm not going to use the switches as is. I'm going to be lubing them with Crytox 205G0, and I'll also 3D print some switch films. You'll see the difference this makes later in the video. If you like red switches, this is just an upgraded version. Compared to normal Cherry Reds, they're smoother and they have a deeper, bassier sound. Okay, so for the A80, I chose to go with Cherry Blues. Now, I know it's not everybody's favorite switch because they're so loud and they literally disrupt every call that you're in. Oh my god, June, your keyboard is so loud! But even so, I went with Blues because they hold a bit of a special place in my heart. 9 years ago, when I got my first mechanical keyboard, it was a Blue Switch keyboard, and it was such a far departure from all the membrane keyboards that I was so used to using. So I kind of wanted to go back and try it out again, and it actually feels not as bad as I thought. They seem to be pretty okay for Osu as well, more than people think. Like for example, Eterna uses Blue Switches, and he's literally like the fastest guy in the game. Let's take a look at the keycaps. These are PBT keycaps, but more importantly, they're pretty darn thick. Just for comparison, here's a thin UV coated backlit keycap that you see on most gaming keyboards nowadays. And there's just no comparison. These two are just completely different in terms of build quality. To me, this is one of the big differences between gaming keyboards and enthusiast level keyboards. So with high quality keycaps like these, you should be able to feel and hear the difference. Okay guys, so you must be dying to know, can you use these keyboards in wireless mode for gaming? And I'm not talking about FPS games, because you could literally play those on like the keyboards at school. I'm talking about rhythm games. So in order for a keyboard to be good for gaming, I'm mainly looking for 3 different things: polling rate, N-key rollover, and latency. These IQUNIX keyboards come with 2 modes of connectivity: Bluetooth, and the included 2.4 GHz wireless receiver. So let's see how well these 2 modes perform. Just for the purposes of this video, I'll be using Bluetooth on the L80 and the wireless receiver on the A80. But keep in mind that both keyboards can use both modes. Oof! Not looking so good for Bluetooth. This kind of pattern that you see here on a 100 BPM map tells me that the keyboard is running at a polling rate of 100 Hz. If you have no idea how I came to that conclusion, or if you just don't know what polling rate is and why it's important, Tokaku has a really good video that you should definitely watch. Also, just going by feel, it also doesn't really feel that good. It might actually be my USB Bluetooth dongle that's the problem, since it does say that the keyboard supports the new Bluetooth 5 standard, but I'm pretty sure my Bluetooth dongle is a piece of garbage. Nevertheless, I don't really have a way to confirm that, so Bluetooth is out of the picture for me. As for the 2.4 GHz mode, I was able to confirm that it runs at a 1000 Hz polling rate using this testing program that I've provided a link to in the description. The keyboard passes the N-key rollover test. For input latency, I just decided to test it by playing some easy hard rock maps in Osu. When you play with hard rock, the OD gets pushed to 10, meaning that the judgment for timing is pretty strict. If the keyboard is delaying my key presses, then we would naturally expect my hits to be late. To me, it seems like there aren't any issues here, and I think I'm fine with their 1 millisecond latency claim on the website. In reality, it doesn't really matter if the latency is actually 3 milliseconds or even 5 milliseconds. It's all good enough. To illustrate what bad input latency looks like, I've programmed my keypad with varying amounts of input latency and replayed the same map with hard rock. So even though I got perfect on each score, we can see that anything beyond 15 milliseconds is less than ideal. We start to see that most of the hits are being registered late, and at these levels of latency, you might even miss some circles since your key presses will be out of sync with your mouse movements. 10 milliseconds might be good enough for most players, but I think 5 milliseconds is ideal for top level play. So hopefully I've convinced you that this keyboard is really good for wireless gaming, but in case I didn't, here's a cool play. Thank you guys for watching. If you watched the video to the end, consider leaving a like and subscribing to my channel. I'd really appreciate it. Anyways, see ya.